Hello everyone, my name is Large and welcome back to the Kill Count. Today we're covering the movie Nobody, starring and produced by the delightful Bob Odenkirk of Better Call Saul fame. This movie was released in 2021 and instantly proved that old Bob was more than capable of being an action star. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of this. High-key feels like a worse version of John Wick, but I won't let my personal bias ruin this video. When a retired assassin gets into a fight gone wrong, he angers a Russian mob boss, causing him to target the people he loves. Can the Family Guy make it out against the odds? Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie opens up with a man in handcuffs feeding his cat. Some detectives interrogate, asking who he is. He responds saying he's nobody. Then we get to see the exhilarating life of Hutch Mansell. He goes on a run, busts to work, crunches some numbers, and comes home to an indifferent family and a distant wife. They literally sleep separated by pillows. On Wednesday, he works out while being looked down upon by his wife's realty ad. Personally, I don't see an issue with your partner being more successful than you, but for some reason, this movie sees it as absolutely emasculating. Each week, he misses trash pickup on Tuesdays. He does pull-ups while watching his wife, goes to work, and barely interacts with his family. In his life, there's no room for nothing new. Nothing new. Nothing. Although routine breaks one Monday when he gets up and hears some people robbing his house. He arms himself with a golf club and tries calling for the law, but they catch him in the act. One of them points a stick at him and demands cash, but all he got in the house is a bowl of loose ones. I can't imagine having your dollars in cash and not coins. She stuffs it all in her pocket and orders him to hand over his watch, but he says its only value is sentimental. Her partner takes it off his wrist and Hutch spots a tattoo on his. When they try to leave, his son jumps down on him and puts the burglar in a headlock. The woman points her gun at him and demands he stop. Hutch walks up behind her, ready to swing, and suddenly yield. When he makes a realization, he tells Brady to hop off, and when he does, the man punches him in the face and steps to the man of the house. When Becca exclaims at the situation, he barks at her to shut up and then leaves. Hutch tries helping up his kid, but he refuses aid and gets pissed at him. While the police show up and interview the fam, he stares at the thieves' mode of entry. A cop asks him more about the situation, eventually saying, "Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though." The couple goes to bed, more distant than ever, as the man sleeps on the couch. Luckily, he's greeted by his little girl, who decides to keep him company. The next morning, he misses trash pickup again. Come on, man, it's the same day every week. Brady says he got a school project where he has to talk to a veteran, so he asks him about his time. Mr. Mansell claims he was only an auditor. Becca says to ask Uncle Harry, a real soldier, inadvertently dissing her. To add insult to injury, his son says that he tried talking to him first and that he was the second option. When they leave, they chat to their neighbor, who brings up the robbery, stating he wishes a nigga would. The victims remain unamused, so he changes the subject to his new car. After the interaction, Hutch continues rolling the boulder up the hill and clocks in for another day of work. While in the break room, he's confronted by 5-time Employee of the Month and his brother-in-law, Charlie. He asks why he didn't knock homegirl out when he had the chance, then interrupts him with the blick. He offers it to him and tells him to keep his sister safe, so Hutch reluctantly accepts. He ends up just stuffing it in a box in the freezer. Now it's his father-in-law's turn to shame him for his inaction. After that discussion, they talk about him wanting to buy their metal-making business, and he turns down an offer, saying he's got to give him something better than that. In his office, he spends time sketching out the tatty spot. He locks the door, then unveils a hidden radio and flask, then tunes the radio to a jazz station. The song ends, he compliments the musician. They thank him, and it turns out it was his brother Harry. Word spread about the house robbery, so he goes more in depth about it with him. Explains that he was about to strike her, but he noticed that her gun was empty. His brother says he knows exactly what he's thinking and begs him not to do nothing stupid. He visits his dad at the old folks home and asks him if he ate today. He notices that he's glum and tells him not to forget who he used to be. When he returns home, they get ready for dinner, and his daughter mentions that she can't find her kitty cat bracelet, the one that was in the dish. Nigga leaves at once. Goes back to his dad's place, grabs the gun, and looks for the people that robbed his house. He asks tattoo parlors around town, flashing his badge, asking if they recognize the tat. At the last parlor he goes to, someone notices his shit is outdated and everyone gets ready to jump. Old fella notices his tat, a 7 and a 2 in poker. An atrocious hand. This might be an in-universe tat denoting membership to a dangerous group. It's so scary that the man runs behind a door, then locks it a ton, making sure no one escapes. I did not know it was that deep. After that display of cowardice, the other men ease up and share what he wants to hear. Somehow Hutch gets the location of the people who robbed him off of that. He sneaks into their house and pistol whips the dude. He presses his piece against his head and asks for his watch. After his girl gives it to him, he demands the bracelet. Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, motherfucker! After yelling at the man, he hears a baby crying in the crib. Aww. Unfortunately, he has a conscience, so he leaves enraged and beats the brakes off a brick wall. On his bus ride home, a bunch of drunkards almost crash into it. They hop out and beg to get in the bus. For some reason, the driver lets them on. They instantly start terrorizing the patrons. They start harassing a young girl, so Hutch steps up and does something about it. He ushers the driver off the bus and closes the door. When they turn their attention to him, he pulls out his pistol and empties the bullets. They laugh their asses off and they start pummeling each other. Nobody knocks some guy down, shatters a glass bottle on a nigga face, and smashes heads into a pole. But his streak of violence is interrupted when he gets stabbed in the back. He takes it like a champ and chain checks the stabber, breaks an attacker's arm on a bus pole, and gets two men in a chokehold before getting drop kicked. Everybody's bleeding, bruised, and breathing heavily, so he uses this pause to pull the knife out of his side. Yeesh. They get back up and he uses it against the attacker. He plunges it into a dude's leg and then kicks it deeper. My God! Then pins someone against the window and wraps the stop wire around his neck. His buddies hold him back, but he breaks free and charges towards them, causing him to fly out the window. The men inside complain about their injuries while Mansell pries the door open for round 3. He tells the girl who watched all that go down to skedaddle, then charges into the battle. He's barely holding it together this time and knows he gotta end the fight quick. He stops holding back, dropping all Ruth. He stabs the fuck out of one guy and cuts up 2 more. He picks up a bag left behind and hangs a nigga with it using the pole. He spots someone trying to use the pistol he discarded at the end of the fight, so he rips off a pole and beats him with it mercilessly. He breaks his windpipe and he starts to suffocate. He then takes a knife and performs a cricothyrotomy, saving his life, then leaves. When he comes back home, he's stalked by his wife. Homegirl barely gave a fuck. Becca super glues his wound and he tells her that he misses her and wants to be intimate again. She stares at him and tears up. He walks away. That night, she finally tears down the wall of pillows and touches her husband. Next week, what? We're doing chapters now? We're now being introduced to a new character, Yulian, a Russian mob boss and a professional jaywalker. In this unexpected one take, he takes a drink, takes a bump, and busts a move on stage. He hitting that shit. He walks off to see his friends, who don't look too impressed by his performance. Currently, Yulian is guarding the Russian mafia's obshak money. An obshak is a communal fund for criminals that pay for bribes, bails, and whatever nefarious purchase they need. One of them disses the colored fella he's with, Pavel, who snaps back in perfect Russian. They complain about the way Yulian carries himself, saying his singing and dancing are embarrassing to them. To prove his worth, he smashes a glass on a buff guy's face and slits his throat in front of them, showing he means business. They get mad at him because that was a shareholder in the obshak. But now his percentage is theirs, so everybody wins in the end. He gets a call that something bad happened. Apparently the nigga who got cricothyrotomized was his lil bro. On the way to the other wing, he grabs a chair and throws at his lil bro homeboy. He demands answers and gets even angrier when he learns that one man did that to all of them. He didn't really fuck with his brother, but he still gotta get his lick back. When he asks how the nobody can be found, somebody holds up his Metro card. Harry calls him to tell him who Yulian is and that he's got a huge target on his back, and to ask the barber about him. Later, he goes to a barbershop where a British man surrounded by armed guards gives him a dossier on the Russian. Apparently, he's a known art collector and he's got ways to track him. Barbie explains that while the obshak moves around, he's the current and reluctant babysitter. Somehow he already knows where his family stay? How the fuck they get that from the Metro Pass? If they ever find my shit, then I'ma just say in advance I had no idea what happened in 08. Zacher tells him that he's probably just an average Joe and not to worry about him. But Yulian says that's what a wolf in sheep's clothing looks like. She blackmails a nigga at the Pentagon with pics of him at a BDSM party, so he scrambles to send the files, but they're blocked. He goes down to a physical locker and finds out how dangerous he really is. Why lock it online if the real ones are right there? He sends it over to the hacker, who quits on the spot after reading the files. Julio Fulio phones up some hitman saying he's wanted alive. Back at home, they enjoy the Mansell family lasagna while discussing a trip to Italy, and Hutch spots the ops rolling up. He drags everyone into the basement and for the first time in years gives his wife a passionate kiss. He tells him not to call 911 and locks him inside. The Russians rush into the house aiming down sights, geared up, ready to kill. Hutch beats 2 of them down with a bat and then breaks it over his knee and stabs one of them. He grabs a knife and stabs a man to bits. Good lord. Then he stabs another one and kills her with her gun. Gets into a fight with Pavel, but when he breaks a glass in his face, another merc tackles him. He grabs a kettle off the stove and dashes the boiling water in his face and beats him to death with it. Another future victim chases him with gunfire through the wall, but he rounds the corner and tries disarming him and breaks his arm. Someone else tries him and guns him down. Hutch pulls too hard and they smash the banister. When he gets up, he gets tased and knocked out. Damn, just like that? They drag him into the trunk and drive off. When Hutch comes to, he dislocates his thumb and frees himself. Conveniently, there's a fire extinguisher, so he knocks down the seat in front of him and spews white all over the car, causing them to flip over? What? They weren't even going that fast. How you flip over going 7 miles an hour? Our MC spills out of the car and checks the wreck. Crash kills both drivers and Pavel barely clings on. He asks who Hutch is, but dies before he can finish explaining. He spent the whole movie running before work, so it helps him out when he's got to run all the way back home. He calls up his pops, warning him that people might come to his crib. When nobody makes it back home, he cleans the dead bodies and showers before getting his fam out the basement and putting them in the car. Becca begs for an explanation, but Hutch is reluctant to give it. He just tells her to trust him, and she does. When they leave, he takes his emergency gold out of hiding and interrogates the mercs he didn't kill. He explains to them he was doing regular old accounting, getting rid of people for the CIA, and his target was begging for his life, saying he'll change. So we let him go. When he checked back in a year, he kept to his word with a wife, kids, and even a dog. He was so mad and jealous that he quit to start his own family. Crazy because even after that, he was so unfulfilled at the start of the movie. He looks back at them and spot the fucking kitty cat bracelet that started all of this? It was her fault! Hall of shame! He sees this whole night as him relapsing back into his old life. So he burns down the house with the 4 mercs unconscious. Walks to his car, but changes his mind and takes his neighbor's whip instead. Over at the old folks' home, 2 assassins sneak past the front, ready to kill David. Easy work, just blick his old ass. They aim at his dome, but he grabs the gun and puts his finger in front of the hammer and blows down his partner. He puts a hole in the first guy and the caretaker comes to see what the issue is. He assumes it's a loud ass TV while David suffocates the merc. Hutch pulls up to his workplace with the best offer, a shit ton of gold for the whole building. Eddie accepts it while Charlie says it's not fair. The gold medal rage baiter tells him to listen to his daddy, so he throws a punch at him. Instead of taking it, he weaves and counters. He sets him down gently, then they shake on it. Yulian listens to news of his plans backfiring and sends every man he can to Hutch's location, locks down the metal factory and gets ready for war, making nail bombs and other traps. Harry reprimands him over the radio for starting bullshit and getting everyone else involved. When night falls, the accountant brings the fight to the Alp shack, killing 11 people on his way in. As he rushes into the gallery, he throws a nail bomb and kills 3 goons. He leaves with one of Julius Caesar's paintings and kills another 4 men. Should have been met with more resistance than that, man. They really let this old nigga walk out without a scratch? Then he puts gasoline in the sprinkler systems and sets everything ablaze, destroying all of their money. After the fact, Hutch watches his ops sing his heart out at a karaoke bar. This nigga loves singing. He approaches him and asks him what he's doing there, to which he implies he's here for the show. He moves ever so slightly, and the guards around him point their sticks ready to shoot. He carefully lifts his napkin to unveil a claymore pointed right at Yulian. He politely asks for privacy and says that now they're even, and to go their separate ways. He laughs as he tells him that he burned down the op shack, the one he didn't fuck with anyways. Yulian listens with rage as his brother's killer tells him to start a new life far away from his. Saul leaves with the claymore in hand and gets in his car. He prays to every god and wishes a nigga would. His wish is granted when King Yulian sends his men after him. You rarely see a boss do the dirty work himself, but he shoots out Mr. Mansell's back window. He drifts into an alley and a bus blocks their path. They go around and hit him head on. He ducks and they shoot the fuck out of the windshield. He lays flat on the driver's seat, then uses the mirror to see behind him. When the bus leaves, he receives fire from the front and the back, but the front runs out of ammo, so he guns them down. He swings his whip out of the way, causing the other car to flip into the fire squad. He sits back up and hightails it to his work. The ops chase him into the building and hit him good in the arm, knocking him down. It looks like he's done for, but out of nowhere, his brother Harry snipes 2 of Julian's men. This is exactly what happens in the first John Wick movie be so for real. Right after, Davey pops out and applies cover fire for his son, letting him inside. They all arm up and his dad tells him he really missed the action. The father-son duo shoots up the entrance and kills 2 fellas before moving to the next area. In the metal fabrication room, Davey shoots up another guy as Hutch sets a trap. The hydraulic press grenade explodes and kills 2 Russians. Meanwhile, Harry snipes a dude, causing his friend to chase after him and run into a trap that blows their bitch asses up. One of them unknowingly walks into his demise. When the others notice, he gets into a 2v1 and nonchalantly shoots one of them down by throwing the gun over his shoulder, evening the odds. He drops his guard, leading to him getting thrown into a wall. When he gets up, he sees 3 guys running at him in a single file line, so he hits him with a triple headshot. He gets into a little squabble with another one and kicks him into a whole ass saw trap. He smashes a button that launches him into a sick transition. We see Davey shoot and kill 3 mercs, then it switches to Hutch's perspective. He blicks 3 ops and locks himself outside the break room. He sets up a trap behind the door and triggers it, killing 5 more mercs. He rushes out, grabs a man, and spins around, killing 2 guys. Another tries ending his life, but he turns the table, using his homeboy as a human shield, and puts a bullet in his dome. Someone else tries to be a hero, so Hutch somersaults to the freezer to pull out the heater and walks his ass down. In the next room, he activates a trap that launches rebar into 2 men. What the hell? While that happens, David gets a double kill right before he shoots a nail bomb that kills 2 more goons. That's 4 kills. How are they getting punked by these old ass men? We get a montage of the Mansell family killing 5 people. Harry runs out of ammo right before an enemy reaches him, so his bro tosses him a gun to finish the job. They mow down about 3 more until Yulian shows up and manages to hit one of them. They disperse and take cover. just to find out they're all out of ammo. Yulian berates him for burning down the ob shack and shoots nothing? Hutch says his goodbyes as he ties a claymore mine to a blast shield and runs into the Russian mob boss. When he gets close enough, he activates it, killing his bitch ass! Ain't no way Hutch ain't 80% deaf in both ears after that. His fam help him get up and he thanks them for their aid. They hear sirens, so they skedaddle. Mr. Mansell calls his wife to ask for a fresh start and to tell her that he loves her right before giving himself up to the police. We flash back to the start of the movie where he tells the cops that he's nobody. Out of nowhere, they both get a call and let him go free. 3 months later, the couple looks for a new house, since the last one's a pile of ash. The realtor gets a call, then hands the phone to Hutch. He gives back the phone and the movie ends with the Mansells closer than ever, asking if their house has a basement. 80 people died in this movie. With a runtime of 132 minutes, that leaves us with a kill on average every 1 minute and 5 seconds. Platinum Pistol is definitely going to Yulian. That shit was nuts! I always thought about doing that, but to see it be done with a whole other thing. 4P shooter is going to Pavel. That car moving slow as hell and he got that fucked up? Don't piss me off. Hall of Fame is also going to Yulian. He's probably my favorite part of the movie. Like, how could you hate this guy? Even besides the goofiness, is he not justified in what he did? If my brother got killed because some old white dude was unsatisfied with his life, I'd crash the fuck out too! I'm not saying he was innocent, but like most people wouldn't have broken his windpipe with a bus pole. Hall of Shame is gonna go to Hutch's daughter Sammy. Y'all thought I was joking? If she spent one more second looking around the house, then this whole movie wouldn't have happened. That little girl has blood on her hands.